Torah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher baka banu michal ha'amim benatan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai, Elohim ha'Torah. Blessed are you, Yahweh, our Elohim, King of the universe, who chose us from all the people and gave to us his Torah. Blessed are you, Yahweh, giver of the Torah. This week's Torah portion is called Toldot, and that means generations. And I hope you guys put on your seatbelt because we're going for a ride, okay? We're going for a ride. Now, typically, when this Torah portion is taught, people like to focus on Jacob and Esau. But today, I want to go a different route. I want to go over something that is often looked over. I want to talk a little bit more about Rebekah. Last week, we learned that Abraham sent Eleazar, his servant, to find a wife for his son Isaac. And Eleazar prayed to Yahweh, and Rebekah appeared. And what Eleazar prayed for, Rebekah exceeded that, right? She gave water to a stranger, and then she watered his 10 camels. That says a lot about her character. In that one moment, Eleazar saw that she had hospitality, she had strength, she had good work ethic, and more importantly, she had a right heart. Yahweh hand-selected Rebekah, not just to be a wife for Isaac, that's important, yes, but he hand-selected her to carry the covenant line. When she was asked to give up everything she knew and leave her family, she said, I will go. And she left her home and she left her family to go to a strange place and meet a man that she never met, to marry him. And that's where this week's Torah portion picks up. After they get married, Rebekah and Isaac. So we're going to start reading in chapter 25, verse 19. And this is what it says. And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begat Isaac. And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian, I can never say this word, of Padanaram, right? Padanaram? Padanaram, there you go. I'm going to have you say it again when it comes up again. The sister to Laban, the Syrian. Okay, so he was 40 years old when he married Rebekah. And Isaac, Jesus help me, entreated Yahweh for his wife because she was barren. And Yahweh was entreated of him, and Rebekah, his wife, conceived. So he gets married at 40. And the Bible says they're married for 20 years without a child. So now he's 60 years old, and he's praying to Yahweh, please, I don't have a child. And instead of doing what his father did, going to a concubine, he prayed to Yahweh. And Yahweh heard his prayer and answered his prayer. Just like Abraham, he was in old age when his wife conceived. And just like Sarah, Rebekah was barren until her husband sent a prayer up to Yahweh. We're going to continue reading. And the children struggled together within her. This is talking about Rebekah. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. So remember, back then there weren't ultrasounds. She couldn't go to a doctor and put something on her stomach to see what was going on in there. She didn't know that there were 2 babies in there. She just knew that she felt a rumbling, and she wanted to know what was going on. She felt a lot going on in there. She wanted to know what was going on. And instead of leaning on her own understanding or going to to a midwife. She goes directly to Yahweh. Fun fact, Rebecca is the first woman in the Bible who goes and seeks Yahweh for herself. There's other women in the Bible that had conversations with Yahweh, yes, but Yahweh went to them. She's the first person in the Bible that it says that she inquired to Yahweh. So, just wanted to give you guys that fact. So what does Yahweh tell her? He tells her there's 2 nations in your womb. And he also says that the older will serve the younger. This sets the tone for her actions later on. Let's continue reading, verse 24. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over, like a hairy garment. And they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold onto Esau's heel. And his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bore them. So what the Bible's saying is that Esau came out first, and Esau was hairy. He was a hairy baby. And Jacob was born after him, but he was born holding on to the heel. And this just shows the level of animosity between them, that even going through the birth canal, he's grabbing onto the ankle. And we'll continue reading. 27. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau, because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. The 2 grow up, and they're very different. One is outspoken, going out in the field hunting, and the other one says that he dwelt in tents. We'll continue reading. And Jacob sought pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, behold, I am to the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me? And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he swore unto him, and he sold his birthright to Jacob. The oldest sold his birthright to the youngest. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. So Esau, the oldest, sold his birthright to the youngest for some soup and some bread. We're going to skip down a little bit. I'm trying to get to the nitty-gritty. Down to chapter 26, verse 34. We're talking about Esau. And Esau was 40 years old when he took to wife Judith, the daughter of Beri the Hittite, and Bashema, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, which were a grief of mine unto Isaac and to Rebekah. If you recall last week's Torah portion, Abraham did not want a wife for his son from the land where they were dwelling, the Canaanites, the Hittites. So you would imagine that Isaac would want the same thing for his sons, but Esau, being the type of person he is, was rebellious and went ahead and still married 2 Hittite women. We're going to continue reading chapter 27, verse 1. And it came to pass that when Isaac was old and his eyes were dim, so that he could not see, he called Esau his oldest son and said unto him, my son. And he said unto him, behold, here am I. And he said, behold now, I am old. I know not the day of my death. some venison, and make me savory meat such as I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, that my soul may bless thee before I die. And Rebekah heard when Isaac spoke to Esau his son. And Esau went to the field to hunt for venison and to bring it. And Rebekah spoke unto Jacob her son, saying, Behold, I heard thy father speak unto Esau thy brother, saying, Bring me venison and make me savory meat, that I may eat, and bless thee before Yahweh, before my death. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice, according to that which I command thee. Go now to the flock, and fetch me from thence 2 good kids of the goats, and I will make a savory meat for thy father, such as he loveth. And thou shalt bring it to thy father, that he may eat, that he may bless thee before his death. And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, Behold, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. My father peradventure will feel me, and I shall seem to him as a deceiver, and I shall bring a curse upon me, and not a blessing. And his mother said unto him, Upon me be thy curse, my son. Only obey my voice, and go and fetch me them. Many people, when they read this part of the Bible, they misunderstand this moment. They think that Rebekah is deceiving her husband. And in a way, she is. But that's not what this is about. So what's going on here is Esau is supposed to get the blessing from his father, Isaac. And Rebekah's stepping in and telling her other son, Jacob, the younger one, you're going to pretend to be your brother, and you're going to go get that blessing. Let's look into Esau for a moment. Esau means hairy or rough. He was described as a hunter, a man of the fields, impulsive, and driven by appetite. He despised his birthright, and he also married Hittite women. He had ungodly marriages, and those marriages grieved Isaac and Rebekah. Now let's look at Jacob. Jacob, or Yaakov in Hebrew, means supplanter or heel catcher. Jacob was described as whole, upright, complete, and mature. Isaac loved Esau because of his food. If they ever tell you, well, I'll tell you girls, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach, okay? But Rebekah saw deeper. She saw character, calling, and the prophecy that Yahweh gave her. Remember, Yahweh told her that the oldest would serve the youngest. Remember that. The scripture says that Isaac was physically blind, or his vision was dim and he could not see. But I believe that he was blind spiritually as well. When he was about to bless Esau, he was blind to Esau's impulsive nature. He was blind to Esau's ungodly marriages. He was blind to Esau's disregard to his birthright. And he was blind, most importantly, to the prophetic word that was given to them about the oldest and the youngest. So when Rebekah overheard Isaac preparing to bless Esau, she immediately stepped in. She wasn't acting out of manipulation like most people believe. She was acting out of a responsibility, a spiritual responsibility. The responsibility that Yahweh himself gave her when he revealed the children's destinies while they were still in the womb. She stepped in not to control her husband, but to align her home with the word of Yahweh. So she tells Jacob, you're going to pretend to be your brother and get the blessing. But Jacob hesitates because he's scared he's going to get caught and he's going to get cursed. And her response is, let your curse be upon me. my son. That is something only a woman confident in Yahweh can say. Whatever curse it is, put it on me, because I know that Yahweh is going to work it out. We're going to continue reading. Verse 14. And he went and fetched and brought them to his mother. And his mother made savory meat such as his father loved. And Rebekah took goodly remnant of her oldest son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob her younger son. She put Esau's clothes on Jacob. And Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau, thy firstborn. I have done according as thou badest me. Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat of my venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac said unto his son, How is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son? And he said, Because Yahweh thy Elohim brought it to me. And Isaac said unto Jacob, Come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee, my son, whether thou be my very son Esau or not. And Jacob went near unto Isaac his father, and felt him, and said, The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. And he discerned him not, because his hands were hairy as his brother Esau's hands. So he blessed him. And he said, Art thou my very son Esau? And he said, I am. And he said, Bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee. And he brought it near to him, and he did eat. And he brought him wine, and he drank. And his father Isaac said unto him, Come now near, and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him. And he smelled the smell of his remnant, and blessed him, and said, See, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field which Yahweh hath blessed. Therefore, Elohim give thee of the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed be everyone that blesseth thee. And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from hunting. So mission accomplished. His mother put some of the fur from the animal on his arm so that he could seem hairy. He goes in there, his father feels it, says, Yes, you're the hairy brother. This is the one I want to bless. He eats the food, and he goes on from there. He blesses he blesses Jacob with abundance, authority, blessing of nations, and lineage continuation. Yahweh does not need deception to complete his missions, but he can still work despite of it sometimes. Let's continue reading. Verse 31. And he also had made savory meat. As Esau walked in, he had also made savory meat, and brought it unto his father, and said unto his father, Let my father arise, and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac his father said unto him, Who art thou? And he said, I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly, and said, Who? Where is he that hath taken venison and brought it to me? And I have eaten all before thou camest, and have blessed him, and he shall be blessed. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, Bless me, even me also, O my father. And he said, Thy brother came with subtlety, and hath taken away thy blessing. And he said, Is not he rightly named Jacob? For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, Hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants, and with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him, and said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then I will slay my brother Jacob. Whew. So Esau comes in and realizes that Jacob took the blessing that his father was getting ready to give to him. And it says that he wept bitterly. It's fair to say that he realized too late the value of what he treated so lightly, his birthright. And he plans to kill Jacob, showing once again his disregard for spiritual matters. We're going to continue reading. I know we're reading a lot today. And these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah. And she sent and called Jacob, her younger son, and said unto him, Behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, doth come forth himself, purposing to kill thee. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice, arise, flee thou to Laban my brother to Haran, and tarry with him a few days, until thy brother's fury turn away, until thy brother's anger turn away from thee, and he forget that which thou hast done to him. Then I will send and fetch thee from thence. Why should I be deprived also of you both in one day? And Rebekah said to Isaac, I am weary of my life because of the daughters of Heth. If Jacob take a wife of the daughters of Heth, such as these which are the daughters of the land, what good shall my life do me? And Isaac called Jacob and blessed him. So he's going to bless him again. He's going to affirm the blessing that he already gave him. And charged him and said unto him, Thou shalt not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan. Arise and go to, go ahead, say that word, Sister Jenna.
Padanaram.
To the house of Bethuel, thy mother's father, and take thee a wife from thence of the daughters of Laban, thy mother's brother. And Almighty bless thee, and make thee fruitful and multiply thee, that thou mayest be a multitude of people, and give thee the blessing of Abraham to thee, and to thy seed with thee, that thou mayest inherit the land wherein thou art a stranger, which Elohim gave unto Abraham. And Isaac sent away Jacob, and he went to Padanaram unto Laban, son of Bethuel, the Syrian, the brother of Rebekah, Jacob and Esau's mother. So Isaac blesses Jacob again, and he sends him off with a purpose. Now, obviously, his mother wanted him to go because she didn't want Esau to kill him. But Isaac gives him a purpose. Find a wife from their people, receive Abraham's blessing, and carry the covenant forward. Jacob is the chosen vessel. Now, after reading all this, we can see Isaac is like Abraham. Both of them were old when they were able to have their child. their firstborn, but ended up blessing their secondborn. Jacob is like Isaac. Both of them were the secondborn sons who received the blessing. Both of them had, both of them were faithful. And Rebecca is like Sarah. Both women received miraculous answers to prayer concerning having children. Both of them received prophecy about their children. Both of them understood which child was the chosen child, which son. And both of them stepped in when their husbands hesitated. One of the most important themes of this whole Torah portion is the way that Rebecca stepped into her role as a wife. Not by dominating or disrespecting or rebelling, but by protecting the covenant when her husband was about to make a spiritually harmful decision. Now, Isaac was a righteous man. There's no doubt about that. But even righteous husbands can make wrong, emotional, flesh-driven decisions. Scripture shows repeatedly that Yahweh places women, especially wives, in positions where their discernment or their judgment, the word discernment means judgment, safeguards the family. An example of this is in 1 Samuel when Nabal almost destroyed his entire household with his arrogance. He made King David really mad, and King David was ready to kill his whole household. But his wife Abigail saw the danger. She acted quickly. She interceded for her husband and her family. She protected her home. And she prevented her husband's foolishness from leading to the death of her whole household. And David told her, "Blessed be your discernment." Abigail teaches that a godly wife must step in when her husband's choices endanger the family spiritually or physically. It's important to note that a husband's job is to be the priest of the home, but husbands are humans. You guys are humans, and you guys can make mistakes. So it's our job to step in when we see things going wrong. Another example is Zipporah and Moses. When Moses had neglected the covenantal sign of circumcision, and Yahweh was ready to kill him. And Zipporah stepped in, completed what Moses didn't complete, and she saved his life. Just like Rebecca, she didn't dishonor him. She just fulfilled a spiritual responsibility when Moses failed his. Another example is Sarah and Abraham. When Ishmael mocked Isaac, Sarah recognized the danger. Abraham resisted her suggestion because he was emotionally attached to Ishmael. But Yahweh backed Sarah up. And Yahweh said, "Listen to the voice of your wife Sarah." Why did he do that? Because Sarah recognized the threat more clearly than Abraham. Yahweh himself confirmed that the wife's judgment was right in that moment. Every Friday night, our husbands read over us Proverbs 31. And in Proverbs 31, it does not say that a woman is meant to be silent. It says that a woman is meant to be a leader. She's meant to be a decision maker, a protector, a teacher of wisdom. She's meant to be a woman who speaks with the law of kindness and wisdom. And it says that her husband trusts her because she walks in strength and discernment. A biblical marriage is not a one-sided structure. It's a partnership where the wife's insight is often essential to keeping the home spiritually aligned. Just like Rebecca, we need to remember submission is not silence. And respect is not watching your home drift off track. That's not respecting your husband. And it's not respecting Yahweh. Rebecca teaches us that a wife can be respectful, discerning, courageous, protective, and obedient to Yahweh even when her husband is not. She doesn't act to embarrass her husband. She acts to protect the blessing that was already promised on her husband, on her home, on the generations to come after her. In closing, sometimes the most honorable thing a wife can do is speak up. Yahweh often gives the wife insight that the husband just doesn't see. Not because she is superior, but because she is positioned differently in the spiritual structure of the home. The husband carries authority, and the wife often carries discernment. When they both walk together, the home is strong. When the husband falters, the wife's discernment fills the gap. So like Rebecca, like Sarah, like Abigail and Zipporah, and like the Proverbs 31 woman, what I want you guys to take away from today, especially the women, the girls, do not silence the discernment Yahweh placed in you. So if Yahweh gives you the ability to judge things, don't put that to the side. Don't silence it. Do not apologize for the spiritual sight Yahweh gives you. Just like Yahweh gave Rebecca the spiritual sight and she had to trick her husband into blessing the right son, she shouldn't apologize for that because she was securing the covenantal bloodline. Do not allow fear to keep you from speaking up. And this one is so important for everybody, not just for women. This is so important. Don't be afraid to be judged. Don't be afraid of being rejected to speak up, especially when you're coming from a position from Yahweh. Protect the promise in your home. Stand firm when your husband is drifting, or your wife one day. Lead when necessary, but always with honor and humility. Your discernment may be the very thing Yahweh uses to keep your family in covenant alignment. Rebecca stepped into that gap, and the nation of Israel came forth because of it. When the eyes of our house grow dim, may the discernment of the Spirit shine through us like Rebecca, guiding our families back into the light of Yahweh's promise. I want everybody to walk away with one thing. Well, one sentence, sorry. Guard the blessing, walk